places aren't even going to be able to test for that. So unless you have other underlying health conditions, you're going to be just fine. You're going to live through it. The survival rate for those that don't have underlying issues is 100%. It's those that have underlying health issues. And so if you have underlying health issues, yes, please come get treatment at the hospital, what have you.
But you're missing the point. Little girl, no, I'm not missing the point. The server didn't know Steve had it, okay? She got it. She doesn't feel it, okay? She goes and gives it to mom, who mom's healthy doesn't have it. I mean, has it, but she doesn't feel it. Gives it to her mother, and she dies. Okay, that's the problem.
Because she contracted at Walmart.
Because she contracted it from Steve, who she was serving.
Or Walmart.
Or Walmart, or anybody else for that matter.
So we're picking and choosing again. We don't, I don't, in my good conscience, I can't make that decision. I can't say you can go contract it at Walmart, but you can't contract it at Stables.
So,
Will you recognize somebody?
yeah, you need to recognize the lady in the audience.
Yeah, have you signed any of the authorization?
No, I'm sorry, I did not. Do I need to sign
It's just
something?
outside.
It's right outside the door. Thank you.
It's a tough deal. All the
It
way
is,
across
but we're
the
going to
board.
have a
It's
signed
very
piece of
tough.
paper, and I don't
Nobody
even know if we write down that
wants
pen or not.
anything shut down, James. But let me throw this at you.
Let's not talk over each other.
Okay, but let me throw this at you real quick. Okay, just for the sake of argument. Look at the cities that have Austin, Texas, the entire city. Why did they do it? Do they know something we don't? Tulsa. Okay, why did they just do it today? Do they know something that we don't? The whole state of Kansas, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, New York, everybody in between. What do they know that we don't? We're smarter than them, so that we say, okay, let's just go ahead and keep living life as it should be. I want to do that too. Okay, I do. But there comes a point in time, go research the Spanish flu. Okay? 500 million people caught that. 50 million died. They did nothing.
So again, if you don't have underlying health conditions, you will survive this too.
You will survive it. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my dad. I'm worried about their dad. I'm worried about the neighbor.
And those
Okay.
people are the ones that should quarantine themselves,
They
should
should.
stay home.
I agree.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean you need to put everybody who's healthy in quarantine.
I don't think anybody's talking about a quarantine, but I'll let the
Well,
mayor
we're
speak to this point.
okay, we're just shutting them down, we're not allowing life to carry on. I mean, what are these people supposed to do?
What the recommendation is a 15-day grace period is what our president said the other day is that they were looking for. The scientists behind this, the data that they've done, all the numbers that they've run, they were looking for a 15-day gap, go in your living room and stay. That's where they want everybody. Unfortunately, people do have to eat, so there's gonna be a food source somewhere. Okay, unless they're coming to your house and getting it. Okay, they're gonna have to go somewhere to buy the food.
I'm saying if you're not gonna shut down Walmart, why are you gonna shut down the Stables? If you're gonna shut down Love's, why are you gonna shut down Stacy's Place? If you're not gonna shut down these cash savers, why are you gonna shut down Hoboken?
I think that's a little apples and oranges, but Ms. Looker, you wanted to speak. Identify yourself and your address, if you would, please.
I am Rebecca Luker. I live at 1016 West Warner, and I'm a small business owner. I absolutely agree with what James is saying. If you shut these businesses down for, what is the date? April the 11th or something? What day is that? Most of them will never open again. They can't last that long. Very few carry the type of insurance that will survive over that length of period or have any kind of compensation if you're closed because of a illness or whatever. Very few people carry that kind of insurance. It's extremely expensive, and small businesses can't afford it. I think that particularly the date that you have chosen to keep this going is arbitrary and capricious. I'm, by the way, 70, it is arbitrary and somewhat capricious. And I'm a 70-year-old woman who has just returned from New Orleans, taking a group of students. And We stayed through the end until Sunday evening. This area is not even one of the high impacted areas of the virus yet. And you are putting it forth some effort here that is going to last for almost 30 days. I think that is capricious. You don't know why you've decided that date. You don't have a good reason, I'm quite sure. Is there a legal reason,
We're
Mr.?
following the leader.
You're just following the
That's exactly
leader.
right.
And the
Whoever
leader
that
is Oklahoma City,
Sure.
who, by the way, don't even have any drive-through clinics where you can be tested, although Tulsa has 3. And Stillwater, who will be back in operation on September 6th when the students return. So will
And Norman.
Edmond and Norman. They'll all be back by April 6th. And you've chosen another 5 days down the road. I
And there's
see.
gonna be lots of things that happen between now.
Then I think that if you are going to, I feel like this, of course, I don't want to see it happen at all. But I think that I certainly don't want to see it going on as long as April the 11th. I think you'll see a lot of people shut their doors and never come back. I may be one of them. We're a week-by-week basis. And I hate to see what's going to happen to small businesses in Guthrie. Now, there's all this talk about checks coming from the government. They're not even supposed to arrive until the 11th of April. And they're not, who really is expecting that many of those? And small businesses may not even qualify. There's very little known about what's going to be distributed. I think at least you should go on a week-by-week basis on what you're going to shut down. And as far as shutting us down now, right before a weekend, you couldn't be more tragic. Thank you.
You're right.
One point of clarification, again, staff is just a resource. We're not telling city council to do or not to do, but as a resource. If you look at the recommendation from the CDC on not having gatherings of 50, they used an 8-week period, which is much longer. That takes you all the way into May. So the April date.
Not many of us have more than 50. I don't have 50 people.
Can I finish?
have 30.
Can I finish? But anyway, that is one date that 8 weeks long is what they predicted was the time frame is going to take for this to run its course. So, and then if you use April 12th, then of course we use the May date for our facilities, parades, outdoor activities on city parks, those kind of things. But if you'll notice on this one, we use April 12th, which is a shorter period. Just trying to provide some clarification of where some of the dates come from.
And clearly, those dates that are in this proposal are fluid, depending upon how active that virus is in our area as well as in our state. We are in a position of prevention or minimizing the impact that the virus will have on our community. And we're responsible for trying to maintain as best we can the safety of the citizens of Guthrie. That's why this is before us.
Well, I also see that the CDC also gives us recommended strategies for employers to use now, and none of them are close your doors. Not a damn one of them say close your doors. You separate sick employees, encourage them to stay at home, perform routine environmental cleaning, but none of them say close your doors.
Okay. Any other comments by members of the council?
I'd like to say just
Okay.
one thing. I've been a small business owner, and I understand when small business owners do not have the backup of a big box store or something like that, or have not saved a tremendous amount of money, it's very hard on them financially. So this afternoon, I've made a few phone calls and spoken to a few people and was wanting to know what the people in my area felt like, what were their ideas. And I had a lot of stay open for businesses and things like that. And the very last call that I spoke with gave me heartburn. Right now, I'm just really torn, but that person said, do you want somebody to miss a few days of work or have a little bit of a financial crisis, or do you want your mother to die? And I'm telling you guys, this is a hard decision when you've seen both sides of the page, because as a person that respects small business people and wants the city of Guthrie to survive, I feel very strongly that the decisions should basically be left with the business owner. Hopefully they have enough sense to make the right decision for their employees and their customers. And then on the other hand, when someone doesn't know that so-and-so has it, that sits next to so-and-so, that runs into so-and-so, I would not want to be the one responsible for the death of a person because I stood up for what the CDC and my constituents here want. It's difficult.
Okay. Councilman Taylor?
I was just going to ask, how's this going to affect Brahms? Because Brahms is a grocery store / place to eat. So if we close, does that mean Brahms closes too? Or do they stay open because they're a grocery store?
Well, it's not a closure. I mean, they
Well,
they
you
have
know
the
what I'm saying.
option of having drive-through, which they
Right.
have.
Okay.
I was told that Brahms is closing internally at the end of today, and they'll have their drive-through open. That, I was just told that. I didn't verify it personally by going there. That's what they told the person I know today that went.
I think we have to err on the side. I think we have to
The language that has been added in red, as I read through it, and I didn't, I've only read through it a couple different times, but one of the areas that I wasn't sure how that was impacted here is the event center type facilities, like the American Legion bingo, the VFW bingo, for instance. Seems to me that they're hosting, you know, it's the same kind of thing that we're trying to minimize, if not eliminate here. I don't know if this can be interpreted to include them or not. In fact, I think the VFW just had a bingo Tuesday.
Yes, they did.
Section
And
12. I think section 12 would cover it.
okay. All right.
But they could be specifically added. if you
Well,
wanted to.
I just didn't know. I think it just seems to me that those are two areas, at least that those bingo opportunities are things that we want to try to, at least I would think we would want to try to minimize, if not eliminate, too.
I think I read where the Legion shut theirs down. I think I read that somewhere that they've quit it during this time.
Okay?
I don't know about the VFW, but
Okay? All right. Well, I can see where that can be included in that section 12. Okay?
Is there an opportunity for self-policing among businesses, or do we have to decide one way or the other for sure?
I don't know what you mean by self-policing.
Doing as the CDC regulations, or taking it upon themselves to maybe not provide for their employees, but make their own set of rules that does not permit close gatherings. And then I see here where fines could be imposed. Is that a possibility? And allow them to stay open? Or is that just ridiculous? I'm
Well-
thinking about it,
I would be a lot more comfortable with the,
self-policing.
well, maybe not even self, if it was something, every other table or something like that, because the size of the facilities that we have here in town, if you take out every other table, you're gonna knock those gathering size down a whole lot. And there's gonna be a lot of pain in this before it's over, and I can't just sit here and go, well, the SBA is gonna give you money and let you make payments for 10 years when it's over. I'm not real good on that.
You know, the thing that bothers me the most is that a lot of people, from what I gathered this afternoon, honestly feel like that if we don't do something and someone dies because of our lack of responsibility, it doesn't look good, but yet I also sympathize with the business owners. I quite frankly am really having problems with this.
But then again, when somebody gets it, I'm not saying it's their fault, but if they know they are a risk and they know they have underlying problems, they're probably not gonna be going into one of these places anyway.
And nor should they.
And I don't know how we all of a sudden say that we have liability. We don't know that they didn't catch it at Walmart.
There
We're
you
still
go.
not addressed. I mean, do you know how many people are at Walmart?
Right.
More than 50?
Doesn't the CDC now recommend no more than a maximum of 10? Isn't that their newest?
I think that's the president's statement.
The president's, not CDC's?
I believe that's true.
Okay.
There's still more than 10. There's more than 50 people at Walmart. I don't understand. I mean, that's where people's going to touch everything.
I think what they're, from what I've seen, and I've watched a lot of it, so has everybody in here, is that they're talking about gathering, okay, versus moving on through. I think there's a big
It
difference
doesn't
there.
matter.
When
No,
you're
there's
when
not.
you,
If we're passing each other and I sneeze and I have COVID-19,
I get it. I know.
you're just as at risk as if you sat at the restaurant.
I know it.
And I sneezed.
I know.
Or the gas station.
You're
Or the
absolutely
gas
correct.
station.
You're absolutely right.
I just think this is asinine, people. I think that I think the world has taken those news medias to an extreme, and we want to live our lives in fear and not live and do the things that we're supposed to do. The CDC has given us guidelines. Again, nowhere does it say shut down. It just says wash your hands. You know, COVID-19 can be killed by soap and water. If you're sick, stay at home. It blows my mind that it's came this far. It really has. And I don't think that I'm any smarter than anybody else, and maybe they do know something I don't. But again, the CDC, who is supposed to be all-knowing, or in regards to disease, not the mayor of New York City, it doesn't say shut it down anywhere. It says stop large gatherings. We've done that.
Keep your distance.
Keep your distance. We're doing that.
The challenge is this is a brand-new frontier, and the medical people even recognize that. And you can infect others without having the symptoms visibly yourself.
Steve,
And
I've
so
had
that-
doctors tell me they think that COVID-19's been here since November.
I've been told that too.
You know, so, I mean, and we have no way to prove that it was or that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'm also not one that I want to be on the receiving end of shutting a business down that ends up staying permanently shut down,
And
or
none
keeping
of us-
small businesses open in Guthrie. I mean, if we make that decision, that is on us. But if we choose not to make that decision, we haven't made anybody sick. We didn't.
we're not considering keeping Lanoy home. He comes to my house because I'm playing my radio too loud, and he sneezes. Are you liable?
Nope, that's a challenge.
Exactly.
That's a challenge that we're facing,
Right.
not just here, clearly.
I just don't, I don't think that it's right for us to make that call. I personally think that a lot of these municipalities are overstepping their boundaries. And whether or not they are held accountable for it in any way or fashion, I don't know. That's not on me, that's on them. But for me personally, I can't make that, I don't feel like that's right for us to do. And again, it's because I know if we don't, we're not making anyone sick. We are enforcing and suggesting people follow CDC guidelines. That's what we're asking all of the restaurants, all of the bars. That's what we're asking everyone to do, is to follow CDC guidelines. Be smart. Wash your hands. Clean the tables. I don't know what else we should tell people. I mean, they're still humans. They're not in jail. They have rights. And we want these businesses to continue to be open past this time. I mean, I think Becky's right. There may be some businesses, small businesses, that never open. Or they may try to reopen and they struggle because they just don't have the cash reserves to get through it.
And hope that nobody forgets to wipe the tables down.
Bring your own
Okay.
Stables.
antibacterial wipe.
If you'd like to hear, I mean, I just got a deal from Stables that I'll read to you real quick, just because she asked me to. We all know her. Stables just asked that you shut the restaurant down completely to allow us to collect our insurance that covers my loss of income and my payroll.
And that's the Stables, and she has that insurance.
Again, don't shoot the messenger, I'm throwing this out there so it says.
You got to sign a sheet out there.
It says, I don't feel safe working and don't want my employees to face the risk. We can't make it on to-go orders, and that's not sanitary, and no masks are available. Those are our thoughts.
Then I would
And
say that
so-
it's her choice to go ahead and shut her restaurant down if she so chooses, because that's her choice. But I don't think it's right for us to make that choice for every other restaurant, because I had other business owners contact me today and say they did not want to be shut down. Hoboken does not want to be shut down. So now we're gonna let the Stables make that decision for Hoboken.
I'm just reading something.
I understand, and I'm just conversation. It's just conversation.
Just there for input. Leroy?
Would you all like my opinion?
Yes.
I think the first proclamation that we adopted, because it deals with public property and public right-of-ways, we were on sound ground. It concerns me when we start making rules that has to do with private commerce. And I think it's got to be a compelling reason for a unit of government to restrict business of private enterprise. If this was as bad as everybody says, why isn't our governor making a statewide proclamation doing these things instead of each city doing it?
Right.
Okay.
Our governor was caught on social media eating at a restaurant, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that was a few days ago, and
Well,
I bet he wishes he wasn't caught on that. Robert, you want to come and identify yourself, your address, and you've got a few minutes to identify your comments.
Well, first of all, I think
Bob, your name, address.
Rob Ferris, 2118 Gloria Place, Guthrie, Oklahoma, 73044.
Thank you.
I mean, I 100% agree with James. I do not think that it's necessary to close this down. I think that we are already sitting at every other table. We sanitize everything with quaternary ammonia. You know, I taught sanitation and safety for the state health department as well as for a college. And I still teach classes all over Oklahoma for the Oklahoma Restaurant Association. We're taking every possible precaution that we can. And I think that James put it very well. I mean, you can contract it anywhere you go. It's not just restaurants. You're not going to get it from one of the kitchens. Everyone I know is working diligently to avoid contaminating anything. This is probably the safest city to eat in Oklahoma right now. But going to Walmart, going to Love's, going to any of these other places, we need the same fighting chance as the corporations. The corporations already have drive-throughs. They're already set up. They're already in people's minds that, you know, that's where I go to get takeout. Sonic. I mean, these places are corporations. I mean, we're just small business owners trying to make a living when we've already lost $20,000, $30,000 over the last 6 weeks. We're already bleeding. So that's.
And you're offering takeout.
Yeah, we've always offered takeout, but I mean, we don't do it. Nobody's going to come get a steak and takeout to celebrate. And we're a celebration place, and that's what we're here for.
Okay, at what point would you shut down?
Well, if I would shut down if there was some accurate proof that we were transmitting, or that people were transmitting here in Logan County. If they were transmitting.
So if there was a
virus,
positive case in Logan County, you would shut down?
I would need to know that it came from a restaurant. Because it's
That's
going to be
all-
less
That will
likely.
probably be almost impossible to identify.
Sure will.
So.
I'm just
so
saying,
we
did you disinfect-
We just ignore if there's a positive in Logan
Right.
County? We just ignore because we can't trace it to a restaurant?
Well, we can't trace it to a gas pump. Are you gonna buy gas on the way home? You grab that
Well, I'm
handle?
just saying, are we going to ignore if we have a positive in Logan County?
I'll tell you what,
Just
I'll
let
agree
everybody
with you
just
if
keep
you
saying-
shut everything down. No Walmart, no Loves, no nothing. Shut everybody down, or you shut nobody down. You don't get to pick the winners and the losers.
Thank you, James.
Ronnie?
Same deal, Ronnie. Your name, address?
Ronnie Gage, 2324 Carl Street, Guthrie. I own Gage's Steakhouse. I went to Walmart today and got my medicines and stuff. You know, you get within 6 feet of people there. You're at my steakhouse, and I ain't gonna say nothing for Stables or nobody else. I'm just saying for us. My tables are 8 foot apart. Nobody can get closer than 8 foot seating in my place, unless I want to sit them up at the bar, which I won't, but anyway. And plus, he's in there to eat last night, James was. I hope that's okay to tell that. But they looked around, I'm sure, and saw that, you know, they were sitting over in the corner in the bar area. There was not a table within 30 feet of them that anybody was sitting at. I had some in the other area. I mean, we wasn't real busy, but we're seating so many seats to where we don't even set every seat, every table. Other thing to your deal on Stables, Debbie, she better get her insurance out and check it a little closer, because I done called my insurance, and the workman's comp and my insurance does not cover nothing.
Yeah.
They got fine print down there below, says that it will not cover what's going on with us now in the United States. So unless she's got a special policy, which I doubt,
Well,
because
let me-
nobody else does.
No, I hear you. Let me,
So she better check with her insurance people and find
it
out.
said it said the only way that gets enacted if it's ordered by civil authority.
She better check into
I
that.
don't
That's
know.
not what I
I'm
was
not
told.
them.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for listening.
Rebecca, you've been trying to get in here.
Well, I just want to agree with James. I'm really tired of having to compete all the time with large businesses too. They have so much more money than we do. They have also lobbying power, and they have money to support candidates for their choice. And that's what these small businesses are up against. All of these little businesses. And so you're going to opt for the big guy who has the money and has the political clout against poor people. And really, mostly Guthrie is poor people.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
just a minute. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, what are the governor's recommendations on restaurants right now?
The last I'm aware is that the governor is saying to people, don't go to restaurants.
But he's not closing restaurants down.
That's the last I understand, and that's of early this morning.
Are you ready for a motion?
See,
Pardon?
but
Are you
before
ready
do
for a
that,
motion?
Before you do that, though, the big thing is, not one person in this room's been tested, not one. So nobody in here knows if you're even carrying this thing right now. You just got back from Louisiana.
Nor can I be tested.
And nor can you be tested until the testing's available. I get that, but the point Rebecca, the point I'm trying to make is that, I'm trying to make a point. The point I'm trying to make, Rebecca, is that nobody in this entire town has been tested. Okay? And that's a fact. And so, no, you don't know. I could have it. I could be sitting right next to you right now and have it. I could have just gave it to you. You don't know. Okay? That's the only issue. Okay? And so, originally this whole thing was take a 2-week break, take a 2-week breather, and then get on back to business. I don't know where the 2-month thing comes from. I think that's a federal government thing that keeps getting longer and longer and longer and longer. I'm a proponent of, and here's what I'm a proponent of. I'm a proponent of a 2-week deal. I'm not a proponent of 2 months. I never have been.
The CDC, you're confusing it. The 2 months is for public gatherings. That's what the CDC has said.
I'm talking about in this thing right here is a lot more than 2 weeks. Okay, so of the closing of the restaurants and stuff is more than 2 weeks. I'm a proponent of putting this motion into a positive ordinance to where the mayor has the ability to do this. Maybe we look at it's not right now. Maybe we do look at it when the cases start coming up so we don't have to revisit this again.
Then we come to it collectively, because I'm not giving that authority to one person. And I think that we asked for staff's recommendation, and he said what we put out already puts us on solid ground. So why we're here today, I think, is because somebody got scared and watched the news and got scared. That's why we're here. Just follow CDC guidelines, Brian. Wash your hands.
James, you're speaking to the choir.
I don't think that I am.
Yeah, well, you are.
No, because
I'm
you want
taking
to
care
shut
of
them
some-
down.
I'm taking care of some elderly
You
people.
want to shut them down.
I'm not saying I want to shut anybody down. I don't want nobody to get shut down.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to get it and transfer it over to an elderly person that dies either.
So when you're dealing with your dad, before you go deal with him, you should follow CDC guidelines. You should
always
wash your
do.
hands.
I do.
You should wash your hands. You shouldn't
I don't
cough
need to be
in him.
schooled, James.
I'm just
okay?
saying,
You don't
Brian.
need to school me.
Okay.
It doesn't need to happen.
Then why
So
are we
let's shut
talking
that
about
down.
your dad?
Mr. Mayor,
Okay?
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we simply adopt the state's requirements on this and go on and take the city out of it altogether.
The state requirements are what that is in that deal.
No, it is not.
No, it
If
is
the
not.
state
No, it is
requires us
not.
to shut restaurants down, I don't think they do just yet.
No.
Whatever the state's requiring, I think the city just adopts that and takes us, why do we have to be part of this?
The word is requiring, though.
Yeah,
They're not requiring.
They're the ones that have the pros. We don't have any pros. So how can we supersede or undercut whatever the CDC tells us?
Well, I think we're already.
Why don't
under
we
a
just
state
adopt
deal.
what the state says and go on? That's my motion, if anyone will second it.
Aren't we already under a state adopted deal?
There's a state declaration of emergency, but it does have specific guidelines as to restaurants, closing, in-group dining. It makes some recommendations on spacing and those kind of things. But it doesn't give any specifics, similar to what Stillwater and Oklahoma City's about.
Okay, so technically, we have a motion and a second before us, and the motion is to adopt.
Explain this motion again real quick.
To adopt state requirements on the coronavirus. And simply go on.
Requirements or recommendations?
Recommendation. Both, actually.
Well, I don't know that you want to do the
do
recommendations,
both.
because that closes the restaurants. So on the recommendations, they don't want you in the restaurants.
But they're not requiring.
I know they're not requiring them to shut down, but that's what they're saying.
both.
That's what they're saying.
I think what you're asked, honestly, and I know you've got a motion, you've got a second, and I think we should, as far as discussion-wise, I think that's a little confusing. I think that probably with what we currently already have, Jim, already keeps us in the guidelines of the state. It doesn't put us on any rocky soil. We can ask Leroy again, just to confirm what we currently have already put in place is on firm foundation. What we're trying to do puts us a little far out there. And I think that if we probably would just,
Not asking us to go any further than what the state's asking us to do. That's all I'm saying.
and I get that, but I know that that's not what's written on this paper for us to vote on. So
We're
it's,
not voting on that now, we're voting on what I brought up.
but I don't, that's.
But there's nothing in writing we can even look at to
That's
vote
not
on
an
that.
agenda.
What are you saying, you're gonna vote on somebody's thought?
Requirements, regulations, requirements, whatever, on coronavirus. Why does our city have to do something different than what, I mean, we can adopt it now in blanket form going forward, and we don't have to visit this again.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
So the motion that's been made is not on the agenda. We have a very limited agenda as an emergency meeting, and that's not an agenda item. So for that point, I don't think that motion can be adopted today.
Then I'll
So
make a
you're saying
motion.
the only motion that can be made is specifically with the draft that's in front of us?
Yes.
Then
So
I'll
we either need to-
table it until we have a chance to do.
And
No, I don't think we
and I'll
table
second
it.
that.
I don't think
Well,
we.
I think it needs to be until, if we're gonna do anything, we're not just gonna squelch it. We need to at least look and see, okay, it's like Robert said, so if you got one case out here, it's one thing. What if you got a dozen cases?
But we
What if
could-
they all, let me finish, please, for a second. And what if they all came from Guthrie? Okay, then are we a proponent to enact something? I don't know, okay? You know, what are you gonna do? Police people from walking up and down on the sidewalks? I'm not gonna do that.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, if all we're doing is adopting state requirements at this time, we don't have to make any action. I would think that there's no action needed. Is that correct?
That was a motion that was
Yeah,
determined.
because that's already in place.
Just a minute. That was a
Right.
motion that was
Right.
made, that was determined to be not within the
Right.
agenda that we are following.
But I think what she's
but-
trying to say is we have to follow state guideline. We can't do something outside of
We
state
follow
law.
them.
No,
Well,
what I'm
but-
saying is,
but
if we
Just a
choose to
minute,
follow
Brian.
state guidelines, we really should not have any action taken
Correct.
this evening.
Correct.
But if we want to be able to give the mayor the authority to do something further, if it so warrants it, how can we word it so that it follows the state as it's changed?
Well, we can table it, is what we can do, and then we can come back and look at this exact verbiage another time down the road.
I hate to table it after all of this. Billy, what's the requirement there for being able to continue following the state guidelines and giving the mayor the authority if the state changes their guidelines and declares further emergency, that we would follow suit?
It wouldn't require any action by this body, because that's state basis policy.
Right.
We're bound by it anyway, so there's no additional action to be required. by this
Okay,
body.
so we
Yeah.
could, in theory, accept the way the state lays it out and move on. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And no action on this.
And that would include any future developments that the state hands down.
Yes.
Okay.
And the action on that, there would be no action. It would be
Right.
tabled.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, we do technically have a motion and a second
But it's not on the agenda.
to table, excuse me,
We
to
already have a
table,
motion and a second to table.
table.
Which you can do that. It's
Okay.
an agenda item.
Or you can withdraw. Or you
Yeah,
can withdraw
with-
your
Or you
motion.
can withdraw your motion. And we just follow state guidelines.
Because we're already following them.
Say again.
Withdraw your motion.
Second, your second motion.
You can withdraw the tabling if you want.
Because we're already following state guidelines.
I think we follow the state guidelines.
So you're withdrawing your table.
I'm missing something here.
You know, my concern here, and one of the reasons why I asked Rob, at what point do you take the additional step of closing? And you identified if there was an active case in Logan County. My concern is how do we get ahead of this thing to protect our citizens the best that we possibly can? And when there is one active case that's been identified, there could be 100 that are already infected. And
Let's
that's my
vote on
concern.
this,
And
Mayor.
yes, they could be from Walmart. They could be from any place, but how do we minimize it?
Robert?
You're right.
I just want fair treatment. Action would be to table it, then we have to follow the state guidelines. But if we table it, and if our situation is unique or gets more serious, then we could always bring it back up at another.
That's
meeting
exactly right.
And do what we need to do at the local level. But until it's put back on another agenda at a later date, we would just follow the first proclamation we put out on public places and follow the guidelines set by the state and by federal government.
Okay, if I understood Billy correctly, if we just follow the state guidelines as they're put out to us, we don't have to do anything here at all.
Unless you want to do something more restrictive.
Okay. So after.
Let me, I want to ask the business owners that are here, is that acceptable? I mean, is that something that works for everybody? And we look at it again, if it just starts getting to a pandemic in Guthrie, then everybody knows it's time to shut it down? Yeah.
Another way to do that, though, Brian, is people.
The governor's probably gonna, he may do it anyway. Who knows when he's gonna do it?
The thing about it is, we're not grade school kids, we're adults. People that's adults have enough common sense about themselves to stay home. Don't go out in this public if you're worried about getting this disease or getting sick. Stay home.
Right.
That don't mean if you want to go out there and eat tonight, or I want to go eat somewhere, I'm going to go do it. I'm not scared. And I'm 71 years old almost. You know, I'm of age.
So are you guys good with tabling it? So that-
Yes,
and then
we will.
Check it out down the road.
I've got
if
my
something
kids
else
up there
comes
now, Cloroxing and doing all kinds of stuff, make sure everything's clean. I'm doing that after every table. I'm gonna be doing it before we open, through the whole works. We're gonna go out above board to make sure that this is clean.
So we got a motion and a second to table it. Let's do the vote and be done.
Did you get clarification on where we are? Right now, we are at a motion to table, and then Jeff had seconded that. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to table the drafted declaration, raise your hand. I'm just talking about city council here.
Did everybody raise their hand?
Okay, all right, thank you. All opposed, same sign, it was a unanimous vote to table this by all the members of the city council. I appreciate the input. I hope you all appreciate that the responsibility that we have to look at all of the community and to try to safeguard all of the community as best we possibly can. As Brian said, none of us want to shut down any business, but we do want to try to ensure the health and safety, as you business owners do too. We understand that.
Mayor, a lot of businesses have stopped big events. I mean, we're doing our part as well. We're trying to get down the numbers.
Yeah, we see that.
I understand, and we salute you for that. And we salute you.
But we do realize the governor may come in and make this all a moot point anyway, and then we still have to stick by one another somehow or another.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are through with our agenda items and adjourned.